Yeah. And I thought, what a terrible tune.
It's much better.
Hello and welcome to another Ray Renaissance vlog. I feel like every month I tell you that this month's project is something really special, you should definitely come to the concert at the end of the month. And I really mean it each time, and this month is no exception. The Ray Renaissance project for this month has been based on a beautiful book of courtly dances owned by Margaret of Austria. Margaret's dance book is not only exceptionally beautiful, and we'll have a look at it in just a moment, it also shows us how the dance steps and the music were choreographed to one another for many popular dancers at the time. Now, these dances would have been well known by Margaret and her companions, so they're only preserved in a kind of outline form, basic melody, basic steps. So exact steps and musical accompaniment needs a little reinterpretation, even recreation or reconstruction if we want to perform them today. Luckily, here in Basel, we have experts on board for both the choreography and the musical side of this kind of work. Véronique Daniels will be leading the dance component of this month's performance, and Ian Harrison will be directing our courtly musicians. I was lucky enough to be allowed into one of their rehearsals last week, and I could talk to Véronique and Ian about how they have been able to recreate some of Margaret's favourite dances. I was also able to get up close and personal with a piece of custom-made historical costume that will be featured in the performance at the end of the month. So stay tuned if you want to have a look at that. It's fantastic.
There are about 17 sources with things around, with descriptions and on bass dance. So
Okay.
we have many sources, but we don't have many big sources.
And is this one a big source?
It's a big
This
source.
one's a big source. Okay.
Yes.
And what makes this one special? I can see it's a special colour.
It's special because it's on black parchment with silver and gold writing. It's very beautiful, actually. I just have triste plaisir that we dance. Here I have phrases. When I have a little B for branle is the end of a phrase, of a mesure, and that's the next mesure, and the next 3, 4, and 5. So these are my 5 mesures. Okay, so it's a hard work memorizing. Then we have to reconstruct the steps. And for example, that reprise, if I do it with the right foot, I have to go backwards, or with the left foot, I have to go backwards, left, and then I bring the right foot to the left. But with the right foot, I have to go backwards with the right foot. But then I have to go backwards with the right foot to the left. And when I'm here, I don't know how I go backwards. So that's why we turn to bring the foot back.
Like a game of Twister, but
yes,
much more sophisticated.
I decided to make a half turn, but that's not written. Well, it's all a game of directions.
Uh-huh.
There are some instruments which you know were played like all the time, every single day. You'd have the Alta Capella, this typical group with the cornet, the shawms and the trombone, and then you'd have other instruments that were kind of coming in and out, maybe not played quite so much, but you know that they were around. So we'll be kind of using those combinations of instruments in proportion. A couple of tunes on the bagpipe, but this kind of staple diet will be this Alta Capella, this polyphonic wind group. At this time, we're talking about around 1500, but maybe a little bit earlier, maybe a little bit later, but we don't, end of the 15th century, around the beginning of the 16th century. So this was a time of kind of a revolution in wind music. If you think 100 years earlier, or even 50 or 60 years earlier, professional wind players, the people playing these instruments, would probably not have been able to read music. 50 years later, they were doing nothing else. They were playing the same music as people were singing, and they were playing motets, they were playing masses, they were playing chansons and madrigals. So that was what they did. And so we're in the middle of this process of being almost completely musically illiterate and being absolutely musically literate. As you've probably seen from that book, you've got the dance steps, and above it you've got the line of music. It is only one line. We're going to be using a mixture of composition and improvisation. We sort of sometimes compose a kind of sketch and improvise on that. So it's a bit of a mixture as it would have been at that time.
I have never accepted dancing these dances in performance because what you know is so vague, and somehow it's always the same with these mesure and mesure and mesure. And when we started working with Alain, he was telling me, I said, is it boring or how is it for you? And he said, no, it's pure movement. And what I had told to myself was, if once I perform these dances, then I want a big thing on my head, So there should be a show somewhere, not in the steps and the choreographies, but I'll make the show with something on top of my head. And that's the one we decided to do. This is really from more mid-15th century, from the high moment of Burgundian court, where silver, gold, stones, they would show off. And so the women had these huge things over their heads.
And a sign of nobility.
Yes.
Very courtly.
Yes.
If you're in Basel on Sunday, the 27th of March 2022, then come and join us as usual in the Barfüßerkirche at either 5:15 p.m. or 7:15 p.m. Central European Time. We won't be live streaming this time, but we will film it for you. So if you missed the live performance, then keep an eye on our YouTube channel, other social media, or our website if you want to enjoy some dances for a princess.